live session with our very special guest. And of course, the music seems very familiar because she comes from that kind of a background. And she's an upcoming wrestling star, a superstar in the making, I would say. We have with ourselves Miss Bianca Carelli, also known as Bianca Sofia, an upcoming talent in the wrestling industry, a pageant winner, certified personal trainer, and most importantly, the daughter of one of the most entertaining WWE superstars in history, Santino Marella. So guys, without wasting any time, firstly let me just pull out my plug so that I can speak and you can hear it properly. And now it's time for getting Bianca online. So, alive. Who's ready for the Cobras export? Let's do this. What's up, Bianca? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you so
Well,
much.
well, I have even a better one for you. Bianca, how are you?
Wow, okay, yeah, you can't top that. That was the best.
Well, of course, that is really familiar to you because it's the iconic Cobra sign of your dad, Santino Marella. First of all, Bianca, thank you so much for sparing some time for the Indian fan base that has been hearing about you but has never, been personally been to see who is Bianca Sofia, what is she all about. So that's why I thought, let's get the fans what they want and make them meet an upcoming star. So, Bianca, let's begin this with the first question itself is, let's talk about your childhood. So, how was it growing up as the daughter of a very famous wrestling superstar in the industry? How was it like?
Well, I was actually 12 years old when he first started working with the WWE. So for most of my childhood, he was just, a regular guy, a regular dad. And we had lots of fun together. And then, when I turned around 8 or 9 years old, that's when he started traveling and wanting to pursue wrestling. So it was cool because I got to witness his whole journey where, like, for example, my little brother Marco, he's 3.5, or sorry, he's almost 3, he's 2.5. And like, he's always going to know my father as Santino, whereas I saw him kind of like become Santino. So that was definitely interesting. And then when I started noticing that, oh, people, they know who my dad is, it was a weird transition to think, how do all these people know who he is? Like, this is really cool. So it was definitely a different type of lens or perspective, like watching him become Santino rather than he always was.
Well, speaking of your childhood, I found out something that when you were 10 years old, Santino actually asked you to cut a promo. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct at OVW.
Wow, and I read in the article he said that you absolutely killed it because who knows better than killing promos than your father himself, and I can see that it runs in the genes. So I think maybe how about the Indian universe request a few lines of that promo or any promo from you, like in your Bianca Sofia style. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Well, so that promo was pretty funny. That one, I basically said, everybody says that the OVW divas, they're the most beautiful and the most talented divas. And I said, well, I have no idea who they were talking about. And then I looked around and I was like, saying, oh, they don't know how to do their makeup, and I'm the iPod Nano, and they're old cassette tapes, and it was really funny. Looking back at it, if I was in my wrestling class now and there was a little 10-year-old cutting promos on all of us, I'd probably be just as amazed as everybody else seemed to be.
Well, that's a proof of the wrestling royalty that runs inside you. And that's really great to know that even from a small age, you had that thing. But I also found about that initially you didn't want to become a pro wrestler and you are a biology graduate, if I'm correct.
Yes, I'm 6 days away now from being
Ye-
complete my I completed my biology degree. But yeah, I initially thought I wanted to become a doctor. So I went to Western University for a medical science degree with a minor in neuroscience. And then after a few years, I realized that I wasn't, it's a good job, but it's not something I would love, love, love. And I think it's really important that in life, you spend your life, your time, because it's so precious, doing something that makes you happy, that gives. like gives to others. So I felt like in wrestling, you're able to give joy, inspire others, and that's what I would like to do. So it was a good change.
That I think it was. I think it's the best decision because see, I have seen your videos, I have seen your training regime, whatever I could see on Instagram, and that really shows hard work. And I can understand the pressure that's on you because you come from a wrestling family, and there might be a lot of comparisons. Okay, she's Santino's daughter. Okay, she has to do this, but I think with all the hard work and all the perseverance you can ignore all that. You can rise above and become a legit top star in the wrestling industry,
Oh,
like your
thank
father
you.
has. And speaking of tryouts, so I heard that you initially try out in WWE in 2019. I think in Toronto SummerSlam, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also heard that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon said, "Okay, we're gonna pass it for now." And so, what was your all experience about that? Tell me about that. That how did that rejection or it helped you?
So basically, when I got there, like I knew I was very new to wrestling, and I knew that I didn't have as much experience as a lot of people that were there. But it was a good opportunity for me to see who are all the other talents in Canada. How are they compared to me? So it gave me a good idea of what more I need to do. So, since then, obviously there was COVID, but, I was motivated to, work on this. I need to work on this. This part I have good. My promos, the feedback I got was that my promos are good. So, I mean, it goes with the story. Um, but yeah, like I just needed more repetition of having matches, getting that experience, figuring out, where I am in the ring and proper positioning and things like that. And that type of stuff, like you said, it comes with practice. So, there might be some expectation. Oh, Bianca Carelli, she's Anthony's daughter, Santino's daughter. She should be amazing. Well, eventually, once I get enough practice, enough repetitions, sure, I'll be amazing. I
Well,
hope.
definitely seeing your hard work, I am pretty sure that there's no doubt that you're going to be as good, or I will say even ascend the level of popularity and the success your dad had. I'm sure of that.
Thank you.
Anyways, speaking of your dad, so you've trained in Tyson Duck's Wrestling Factory earlier on, and now you're training with your dad. So how is it like training with him? I heard that you said in an article that it's quite tough. It was quite tough in the beginning,
Oh yeah.
but how's it right now?
Well, we haven't had actually wrestling practice in a while, and I have to say, the last wrestling practice that we did have, he made me cry in front of the whole class. So like it is difficult, when it's your parent, you want to make them proud, or it's something they say, you might take it more to heart, and I'm very sensitive. So if he says that looks like crap, do it again, and I'm doing it and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, I was really upset. But hopefully next time he teaches the class in a couple weeks, he'll be nicer.
Well, that's for sure. And that was some of your personal story. Now let's talk about some of your wrestling career, of your future wrestling career. So, would you be going with the same name, Bianca Sofia, or many of them I've asked that you should go with Santina Marella? That was your father impersonating a woman. So, what is it going to be?
Well, I don't want to be Santina because that's like his name. Like I want my own name. And like there's already a Bianca in WWE, so I don't really know if I would go by Bianca. Um, but I mean, I my middle name has been an option I've been considering. Like Sophia would be would be nice because it's still my name, but it's not my primary name. So I think that would be interesting, but I don't want to use it yet. I want to save it because I kind of would like to use that. But I mean, at the end of the day, if they ask me to, be this character, I'll say yes.
Well, that is really great to know, and I think I have a very like you could say a nickname for you. It could be like the Miracle Child. Like Santino, your dad was the Milan Miracle, and now the Miracle has a child. So the Miracle, or maybe you feel like a grappler or something, the Miracle Mayhem or something like that could really work for you, I guess. And
That's
I have a very interesting question from one of my active followers, Spandan. So he says that who would you like to face in a mixed tag team match? So who's it gonna be if you compete?
okay. In a mixed tag, um, let's think here. This is a good question. So do I get to pick my partner too?
Yes, yes. All
Oh,
your partner and your opponents.
oh, okay. Huh. I'm trying to think of all the options here. Who would I want to? Okay, so my female opponent, I would say. Oh, actually, ooh. Sorry, I'm getting so creative. Okay, I would say we'll make it like a second generation, like thing. So it'll be like me and um, hmm.
I think I just figured out a match if you call it second generation. Why don't we have Santino Marella and Bianca Sofia
Oh my,
versus Mick Foley and Noel Foley? Something like that?
yeah. Or we
Maybe?
could even Ric Flair and Charlotte.
Woo!
That'd
Well,
be pretty.
that's gonna be a really tough order to live up to, but surely you can dethrone the queen. And I would be personally happy because I'm not really a Charlotte Flair fan. So I'll be really happy if you dethrone the queen.
Oh my,
That will be really great. So that was the end of the questions, and now this second round I have for you is called rapid spin. So I'm going to read out a few words that relate to somewhere your life, and whatever comes to your mind first, you have to say that.
okay. That's not
Okay, so let's begin. Cobra,
dad.
Santino,
Dad.
beauty pageants,
Crown.
wrestling,
Ring.
dream opponent,
Ooh. Charlotte.
favorite wrestling promotion.
Well, WWE, I think.
Of course, it runs in the family. You can't say other elite names or something like that. Oops, fourth wall breaking. Sorry. Okay. First title you want to win in the WWE.
Oh my goodness. Well, okay. Well, if I guess it would have to be like the NXT like women's title would probably be like you know what I mean because if we go in order, I would love the first title to be the Raw Women's Championship, but I don't think it goes in that order. But hey,
It can happen. You can beat the almost superheroes now, the new champion, of course.
that's
Yes. Next one. Women's Tag Team Championship. Who you would like to win it with?
ooh. Ooh, it would be cool with like Simone, like the Rock's daughter, when when she makes her like big debut because that would be interesting because The Rock was a very funny, like comedy driven character and my dad was comedy, so maybe Simone and I could come up with something funny.
Well, you can come with something really dynamic, I would say. Not funny, but I think everyone can fear you guys. Anyways, moving on. Your wrestling style. How would you say your wrestling style is?
Ooh, well, I would say at Battle Arts we focus a lot on like incorporating kind of like a hybrid style. So it's normal wrestling, but with kind of like a mixed martial arts, Japanese influence fighting style. So I like to include some kind of like judo moves, jujitsu kind of holds, as well as a lot of us we've taken boxing classes or Muay Thai classes. So it's very hybridized, where it's a combination of almost like UFC and WWE style.
Okay. And finally, favorite moment of your dad in the WWE?
Oh, okay. The favorite moment.
When he won the IC title with Beth Phoenix and Beth Phoenix lifted him up?
Oh,
Something like that.
I'm watching him get hosed down by the beer truck was pretty cool. The Stone Cold
Oh,
the beer
well,
truck. That was cool.
I remember that one. Anyways, wow, that was amazing answers by you. And now the final and third round. So I have two fans with me, or Wrestle fan end. So I'm going to be inviting them one by one. And firstly, I'm like to invite the WFE Universe Champion around here. So as I tell, we have trivia and promo match. So I'm going to invite the Universe Champion. His name is Arnav, but we call him the Rebel. So I've sent him a request, and there he is with the
Hey!
championship.
Oh my
Hi.
God, Bianca, it's so amazing to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you too.
So, I have a question. We have seen your father in WWE. You know, the first day he came into WWE, he won the Intercontinental title, and well, he gave a lot of funny moments. But now it's time for Bianca Sophia, right? So, what type of gimmick should we expect from Bianca? Well, she will be a heel or a baby face.
So I usually am more of a heel when I do wrestle, but that's because when you're new, it's easier for people not to like you, for people to boo you. And I think as my confidence develops, I think I would like to be a positive influence and a positive role model. So I think that, the more you see of me, maybe I'll go from being mean in the ring to like, being more of a inspiration to children. That's what's most important to me, is I want kids to look up to me.
That's so we also talk about heel and the baby faces, but something when you're a wrestler, your signature move also matters a lot. So what will be your signature move when it
I
comes
know
to
I think about this every single day, and I have a couple ideas in my head. It's important to have a submission move and to have kind of like a power move. So there's one, a friend of mine, and I have to work on. It's going to be some like a sort of a choke, but it's the type of choke it is. It's related to a snake, so it kind of ties into the cobra. And then for my power move, I still have to try it out because I just came up with a really good one last week. But the hint that I'll give you is it starts potentially with a fireman's carry, and then it gets into something else. But I don't want to give it away just yet.
that's fair enough. So
Well,
thank
Rebel,
you
please
for
go
having,
ahead.
thank you for having me here. It was such a pleasure meeting to you, Bianca. I hope we see you in WWE in the future. Thank you for having me here, Nikunj. Bye.
So nice
Most
meeting.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So,
Bye.
Bianca, that was Rebel, our universe champion. And now I would like you to introduce to someone who is a very great music artist. I requested him to play music for you, but unfortunately wasn't able to do it. But he's coming here. His name is Dhruv. We call him the artist. And now he's going to come up, and he's like a very big wrestling fan. I think he's a big fan of your dad as well. So I'm going to bring Dhruv up now. And let's send him a request, and let's get him.
Hi,
Okay, and the artist is here.
hi, artist.
Yeah, so my name actually is Dhruv Kadam, and I have a question. So, when you were a child, like you were like grown up in the wrestling industry, so like anything you would like to, fun stories, or what was it like, being the kid of a popular wrestler around?
I think one of the biggest things that I thought about it was, like growing up around it, everybody is just like a normal person, a nice individual. It's like if you go to work with one of your parents, all of their coworkers, they're nice, they're normal people. And I think that that was one of the biggest, realizations, was that like, maybe some of the people my dad works with are like over 7 feet tall and they're really muscular, but they're all like genuine, kind people. They have families, and they have lives. And I feel like sometimes it's so easy to forget because you see them
Yeah,
on TV, they're these, big superstars, but we also have to remember they have people they love in their families. They have things they don't like. They might have things that they don't like sometimes about themselves. They're human. They have, just like you and me, they have their struggles and their ups and downs. And I think that that was one of the most important things I learned, because everybody growing up, sometimes you feel, oh, maybe I wish things were this way, or maybe I wish I was this way. And I think that realizing that that's normal, and that everybody, even the biggest superstars, feel like that too, is a nice way to connect and, bring everybody on this earth to the same level, that we're all human beings. We're all trying to find our same way. So that was, that was something big I took away. But aside from that, like, it was always a very cool experience, traveling with my dad and seeing all these different places in these different countries, and the fans, they're just amazing. The fans who love wrestling, you see how much excitement they have, and how happy they are to connect, and how happy meeting the celebrities and the wrestlers that they love, how happy it makes them. And that's one of the things that really inspired me to pursue this, is that I want to make fans that happy when they see me, and I want to give them a high five, and share that energy with them in travel. So having that experience as a kid was really something that made me want to do it now.
wow, that was actually, and when we watch them as wrestlers, we really forget that these are not just like the superstars or characters; they're actual human beings. But
Yeah.
the excitement takes over the reality, I would say. And
But
how was How was school? Like, especially because your peers knew that you were in WWE, going to the shows and everything.
Um, I don't know. No one, well, some people thought it was cool. Some people didn't care. Like the people who watched wrestling, they thought it was cool. But I was always, friends with everybody, kind to everybody. So there was never really any, like, I feel like nobody ever felt like, oh, that's Santino's daughter. I felt like they knew they could come to me and say, hey, Bianca, how's it going? And I was always very nice to everybody. I like everyone pretty much. So, so I mean, it was interesting when, because I went to a lot of schools. So when I would go to a new school, I wouldn't tell anybody for a while that my dad was the wrestler. But then when people found out, there was always a couple weeks where people were like, "Oh my god, oh my god," and then they got used to me. So there were times where it felt like more, and then there were times where it just seemed normal.
I'm pretty sure talking to you, you're a very wholesome person, so no one will be intimidated by you. But
Oh,
thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you, and hopefully we see you in the WWE soon.
thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Drew. So, Bianca, those two guys were a part of the four horsemen of WWE. And I know I said we have two guests, but with your permission, I would like you to meet the other two members of the four horsemen of WFE, if you would like to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. And I think let's bring up the other member of the four horsemen of WFE. So his name is Savraj, but we call him the Syndrome. So he's gonna come up here next with next question, and hopefully these guys can thank me now. So I'm gonna bring him up now. I'm just sending him a request, and now he's gonna be joining with me. Okay, so Savraj is in.
Okay. Anyways, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
So first of all, thank you for being here, and thank you, Nikunj, for adding me here. So, my question is that obviously you have just touched upon the thing that how was it like growing up in a wrestling family? So now that's a follow-up question on that. So, was it really hard for you to approach a WWE official or anything related to WWE? And were you treated any differently in a wrestling tryout than anyone else, or were you all treated the same?
I would say that we were all treated the same. I think that, it's very important that, like, for the company and for me, that it doesn't show that I have any preference. And necessarily, like, if I'm not hardworking and if I'm not a good wrestler, then, even if they show me preference, it's not going to do them any benefit, because then they're showing preference to somebody who doesn't put in hard work or somebody who doesn't care. So I have to make sure that I care and put in my hard work just as much. So I didn't feel like I got any preference when I was being, like, monitored or observed. I was judged very fairly, like equal to everybody else. But at the same time, I'd only been wrestling for a year and a half, and I was able to get a tryout. So I do think that that is one of the benefits to having a father who has spent so many years in the business, is that you're kind of on the radar already. But that only puts you on the radar. It's up to you to do the rest of the work, right?
Well, very well said on that, and I'm glad that you think like that. It's really great because there's a lot of pressure added to it. And I think, Savraj, you need to disconnect because your internet is too gold. So thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us. So kindly disconnect and let me bring the last four horsemen. And even Bianca's amused by that.
Thank you, Ravi.
The glitching,
Okay.
right?
So Bianca, and finally the last horseman, one of the best players we have here. He's won so many tournaments of us. He was the champion for 100 days, and his name is Spandan. So I'm going to be calling him last. And thank you so much for having two additional fans. I'm really happy that I could give each of them a chance to talk to you. Thank you so much for that.
No problem. Absolutely.
And there he is.
Hey there, how's
Hey,
it going?
I'm fine, Bianca. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, so just one thing that I noticed in the session, everybody was touching on that your Santino's daughter, his daughter, and all of that. I want to ask, when you do make your debut, because nowadays we listen to a lot of nepotism and all of that. So when you do enter WWE, how are you going to make that big impact that people almost forget about your dad and see, okay, this is a new person. This is not someone's daughter or anything like that. Because Nikunj, you hate me for liking Roman Reigns and because he's from the Samoan family.
I think so one thing with my father's character was it was very much comedy driven, but he always had very good skills in terms of judo and working very hard in the ring. He's very athletic. So because he didn't get to showcase that, people don't really know that side. So I think that one thing that can really set me apart and maybe like blow people out of the water is if I come in there and I have that aggression and I have that technique and I'm doing different moves and you know applying like that hybrid style, you know, that I mentioned, that you know that more of a mix of pro wrestling and like the MMA style, you know, I think that that would really show, you know, that I'm different as a competitor. And at the same time, like, you know, even like a male and a female, like when a male is, you know, showboating and when a woman is showboating, they present themselves in different ways. You know, a man might be more like angry and macho, and maybe, for example, a woman would be more like, you know, like glamorous and arrogant. Like it comes off a little bit differently. So I think, you know, just the way my character will be portrayed and his character was portrayed will be very different. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like when I go, if I go there. Hopefully I go there. Hopefully I go there. And I don't know what the difference will be, right? Because, you know, anything that they want you to do, I'm more than happy to do that. So maybe I don't get opportunities to show, you know, the kind of moves that I like or the kind of training I have. Maybe and ends up more like comedy work. Oh, speak the
Okay.
devil. Hey, Dad, wave. I'm doing this live wrestling thing. Can you see him?
And it was Spandan himself who said that you can please show your dad for a minute. It was him. It was
He's
this guy.
flexing. Can you guys see him flexing on the grass?
Yeah, we can.
Oh my gosh.
Santino, I love you, sir. I love you.
Did you hear that? He said, Santino, I love you, sir. I love you. Oh
Well,
my god.
that was the complete experience you could have given to us Indian fans. And Spandan, thank you for joining us. And the four horsemen of WFU were joining. Bianca, I think you can go now because let's just finish on this wrap and let Bianca get back to her training and everything. And let's not take more of her time.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. Thank you.
Okay. So, Bianca, I hope you enjoyed the entire session. I hope I delivered as I promised. And just any final words you want to say before you go about your career, about WrestleFan and anything, just your final, the stage is yours. Please go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me because I had a lot of fun and those were really nice questions and everybody was so kind. I also think it's really cool that you, with your WrestleFan entertainment, that you know you actually have belts for fans. I think that's a really nice way to engage with your fans, engage with your audience, and keep it fun because you know a lot of pages and fan pages, they have a lot of information and content, but this is the most interactive that I've seen. So that is very cool. And again,
Thank you
thank
so
you so much for having me. It was a lot of
much.
fun.
Thank you so much, and I'm really honored that I had you. And maybe the next time that I have you, it would be with your dad, and maybe we can have you as a special guest in one of our Zoom events that we do. Hopefully, maybe.
That would be cool.
Thank you so much, Bianca. It was a pleasure to have you. Hope to see you again, and all the best for your wrestling career. And please tell your dad once again I love him a lot. He's a big inspiration to me.
I will. He's feeding
Thank
the
you.
chickens right now.
Okay. Thank you, Santino, sir. Thank you so much. Can I have you live also one more time, please?
I don't think he can hear you, but
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
tell him.
Okay. Thank you, Bianca, for joining me for this live, and all the best for your career. Thank you
Thanks.
so much, Bianca.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take care. So, guys, that was Bianca Sofia, the daughter of Santino Marella, who is about to make her debut in the wrestling world and already making news with her incredible personality and training. She's working really hard, and I hope she gets all